Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email me for pricing at tmosso at thewatchbox.com. Today, we discuss what I consider to be the best version of the best new Rolex model. Launched for 2020 as a 2021 model, this is the Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41 green dial, reference 124300 in 904L stainless steel. The Oyster Perpetual has grown up. Now the watch is not thick, 41 millimeters in diameter. It measures 11.7 millimeters thick, 47.5 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, and from end link to end link, 51.4 millimeters is the total distance across the wrist, with a contemporary 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Zoom out a little bit. Throw this watch on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see it is definitely broader. It is more substantial than previous Oyster Perpetuals. Those were friendly on wrists of almost any size. This watch I'd probably not recommend for a wrist smaller than 14 centimeters circumference, especially this broad. You begin to gain awareness of just how cushion-shaped the Oyster case is. It's really never been a round watch. And of course, this watch is the descendant of the original bubble-back Oyster Perpetual from 1933, the first modern Rolex timepiece in many regards. It combined the 1920s Oyster water-resistant case with the Perpetual automatic winding system of the 30s, and it became not just the first modern Rolex in that sense, but also possibly the first modern sports watch. The watch is flat, flush, and low enough to sit on the wrist. It doesn't have the tubby, sort of pot-bellied look of a bubble back, though, because it is so broad. It has a long, lithe, sexy, athletic appearance. Across the wrist, it stretches far and flat, and you can see that the watch includes a bracelet that is an Oyster 3-link, polished outboard, satinated on the top, removable links fixed in place by screws. We still have the embossed crown on the exterior of the Oyster Perpetual clasp, but what's changed since the previous generation of Oyster Perpetuals is that we now have the Easy Link system inside the clasp, the 5mm in or out quick adjustment, and of course the watch includes removable links, which you can see here fixed by screws. We have the Easy Link, which is the equivalent of adding or removing one full-sized sizable link, and then if you look carefully inside the clasp, you can see that there are 3 divots where you can use your strap tool to re-anchor the clasp inside with a restationing of the bracelet anchoring point. Now externally, the clasp is satinated on its top, polished on its flanks, and it has this one lift lock system where you will latch the beacon hook and then it is secure. Rolex has its own foundry. It makes its own cases, clasps, and bracelets, and it makes its own steel. 904L. It's not harder than conventional stainless. It is more corrosion resistant. As Rolex likes to brag, you do not need to rinse this steel in fresh water after exposure to seawater. That's not the case with conventional 316. So your watch, dial, movement, case, clasp, and bracelet is all Rolex in-house made. Twin lock crowns, screw down, 100 meters water resistant sapphire crystal with a little bit of a lip at its edge. It's mostly flat rather than domed. And then we have a lush and lovely green lacquer dial that gives you the wonderful lustrous bottomless depth that you would get from an enamel. Now the dial does include white gold hands, white gold Rolex crown, and of course white gold hour indices that are doubled up at 3, 6, and 9. As with all new Rolex models that have debuted or been refreshed since 2018, there's a little crown between Swiss and made, and you have all that white gold hardware on the dial because it will not oxidize, tarnish, or discolor over time. Inside the case, though you can't see it underneath the Oyster case back, is the caliber 3230, still automatic winding bidirectional, but now with a rotor bearing instead of the old jeweled staff, so the winding system is a little bit tougher thanks to that rotor bearing. 70-hour power reserve upgraded over the former 48. It features a 28,800 vibration per hour beat rate, pivots on 31 joules. It does have stop seconds or hacking, and it is beyond COSC, as Rolex does certify it with the COSC as a bare movement, but the COSC is a test of a movement in 5 positions. Rolex tests the entire assembled watch in 6 positions, and then attests that it shall not run any worse than -2 + 2 seconds per 24 hours, and that is the substantive basis for this term Rolex invented superlative chronometer. Now there's more to it. It features a blue oxidized niobium zirconium hairspring that Rolex describes as parachrom blue. That is a marketing term, but niobium zirconium is highly anti-magnetic. In all likelihood, every Rolex watch with that hairspring probably is 1000 Gauss or middle Gauss anti-magnetic. For toughness, you have that rotor bearing. Yes, that's new. But we also have the traditional Rolex full balance bridge and free sprung balance for precise adjustment via the free sprung architecture, and then shock resistance because of those two structures which are very resolute against shock. The overcoil that is made of niobium zirconium is a handmade brigade profile overcoil that allows the watch to keep time via concentric breathing of the hairspring in any position. So in any position on your dresser or your wrist, this watch will keep very even time. And phasing in for this new generation of 3200 series Rolex movements, we have Rolex's own shock protection, which it describes as Paraflex, replacing the long-running KIF shock protection. This watch basically has it all. Light, lovely, luminous with Rolex's proprietary Chromolite blue lume. Green by day, blue by night. Always a delight. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.